All right, so I haven't been keeping up to date with tech that well in the last year, and a lot has changed, but really not much has changed either. And nothing says that more than Apple's current lineup of products. So I just want to get into it and look at what everything is there and kind of give it a tier rating. So what I'm going to do is just make a quick tier list because it's fun that way, and also it's a little bit more interesting than just standing there talking about all these products. So these are going to be just all my opinion, kind of what I think of each product, and kind of going on a what I would buy more than the other perspective more than anything else. So let's go ahead and start with AirPods. So AirPods second generation. These are, they're not bad products, but I think that they're very boring, and they just have outlived their purpose. They really need to be killed off by Apple, I think. I wouldn't say they're a bad product, but they're just too old. They have to be ditched, I think, at this point. If you want to buy AirPods, don't buy the AirPods 2 is what I'm saying. Moving on to AirPods 3. I think these are really interesting and good. I think the only place where Apple kind of dropped the ball is the pricing. Given how often, they go on sale, it's a little bit difficult. I'm sorry, AirPods Pro go on sale. It's a little bit difficult to justify the price difference when they're on sale, but still the AirPods 3 are a really good product. Next, let's talk about AirPods Max. Now this is going to be a little bit tricky. For me, it floats between D and F. I honestly don't think they're good products. For the price they ask, it's not worth the AirPods Max, I'm sorry. They're not good looking in my opinion. They are not, they need a lot of work. They just are not great. The case is stupid. The way you use them is not the best. And I think that there's a lot that needs to be changed on the next ones in order for it to make any sense whatsoever. So let's go ahead and move on to AirPods Pro, which are S tier, without a doubt. One of the best products Apple makes. I think that people who are even diehard, whatever brand fans, they all have, I think that people would rally around the AirPods Pro. They're genuinely good products. They're not cheap, but I think for the price, they are justifiable. And I use mine very regularly, and I think they're just fantastic. This is a great product, and I highly would say it's great. There is a couple more, so let me go ahead and do some of the odd ones before I move on to the Apple Watches. So Apple TV 4K. It's going to be a C tier, and it's a great product, but I'm putting it squarely in C tier because of the price. It is not cheap as a set-top box, and it's really not the best, I would say, at everything. However, the remote I really like, the software interface is amazing, and overall it is a pleasure to use. Given most TVs come built in with these functionalities now, I really don't know how many people are going to justify the extra $150. I personally do it because I love the software experience and I am willing to pay for it. But this is, I think, something that needs to be, one, just way cheaper, and two, I think a different form factor. It doesn't need to be a box. It could be like a HDMI stick, like the Amazon Fire Stick, and hopefully that would be a cheaper price. So I think for the Apple TV 4K, great concept, great product, and great experience, not the best price. Let's move on with the HomePod Mini. These are, again, I want to say C tier, or actually I'd say D tier, because one HomePod Mini on its own is $100, and I don't think that the sound quality of it is justifiable enough to call it a $100 speaker. I think it's great, but it doesn't get loud enough in my opinion. And having HomePod as a speaker, I've never found it to be easy. Asking Siri to do things is not the best, and not having a display kind of takes away from it too. I think, at $100, this kind of stacks up against the Google Nest Hub for me, and that's just a way better $100 or $150 purchase than this is. It's good. I have two personally in stereo, and I do listen to them. I do use them to listen to music, but going back, I probably would have not spent the $200 on these. So let's go ahead and move on to HomePods. Now this one, surprisingly, is going to go higher. It's going to be I want to say a C tier product, and I'll tell you why. Even though they are ridiculously expensive at $300, the sound quality of these make up for it. I have never heard speakers as they have something to them. I'm not the biggest audiophile. I don't understand speakers. I'm sure there's audiophiles right now yelling at me that some XYZ speaker is great. I'm sure it is. I'm not denying it. For personally though, having used the HomePod and just the audio that it gives off, being that form factor, it fills the room, and the bass, it just feels immersive. So I do like the HomePods, but they are absolutely ridiculously priced, and I would totally understand if nobody bought them, and that's why nobody did buy them. The last time around, I'm actually surprised they still exist. So let's go ahead and move on to something more interesting. Let's go ahead and talk about Apple Watches. The Apple Watch SE is first on the line, and this is a A-tier product. Great product. Love everything about it. Honestly, there's not much to complain about, and I think that if you are looking at getting an Apple Watch and don't want to go above $300, this is the blind choice. And honestly, I think even if you are looking to spend $300, you have to really ask yourself if the Series 8 is worth it, because you get a couple of extra health sensors. Other than that, the functionality of the SE is absolutely the same. So, great product. Apple Watch Series 8. This gets a B. It's a good product, but it's way too similar to the Series 7, literally the same thing with just cycle tracking. If you're buying a brand new one and you're looking to get those health features, it's not a bad product at all. It doesn't differentiate itself much from the Series 8, and if you do want to buy this, I would honestly say if you could find a Series 7 for cheaper, jump on that, because it's probably the better move. Apple Watch Ultra. This is purely me. It's an S tier product. You know what? No. I can't give it an S tier, because I think for me to give it an S tier, I think I would want everyone to kind of agree with me on it. But no, I don't want to play that game. Let's just say it is an S tier, because I'll tell you what. Number one, the price of it is very high. Yes, I know, but getting what you get, comparing it to the other $800 Apple Watch, which is the stainless steel one that I'm wearing right now, that is a way better deal. Bigger screen, louder speakers, more rugged design. It just is an overall much more interesting package, and I think that Apple really hit the nail on the head with this product, and I think it's absolutely awesome. So S tier on that. And that rounds off the Apple Watches. So before I move on to the Macs, let's go ahead and look at the iPads. The iPads are the 9th generation iPad, the cheap one, the one that I think everyone should get. S tier product. And let me tell you why. I know it's got an old design, I know it's got a home button, I know it's got a non-laminated display, but use this product and you'll realize this is the best $300 bucks you can spend. It works perfectly, it's lightweight, it gives you iPad OS and all the iPad features without having to overpay, and I think that most people should be getting that iPad. It's an absolutely fantastic deal, and I think that Apple really screwed up with the next one, which is the iPad 10th generation, and this gets F tier. And it's crazy that the 9th generation is S tier and the 10th is F tier, but it is because the new one is more expensive. It shares the design language with the rest of the iPads, but does not get the Apple Pencil 2 support, so you have to use a weird situation, a weird setup for charging an Apple Pencil, because it doesn't support the 2nd generation Apple Pencil, the one that magnetically latches on and charges wirelessly. No, you have to have a USB-C to USB to a Lightning adapter to charge that pencil, because the iPad itself has USB-C. It's a mess. I am not a fan of it. That product is a bad misstep. I think Apple really messed up in the worst possible way with this. It's just, let me move on from that. Next, iPad mini. iPad mini is great. It gets B tier. It would get higher if the price was better. The price is just way too high. It needs to have a lower price point. Other than that, it's a great product. Love it. I have one myself. Not much more to say about that. iPad Air, D tier. The problem with the iPad Air, I think, is that the pricing is very weird. You sit so dangerously close to the iPad Pro, but skip out on so many of the cool iPad Pro features, in particular the ProMotion display and the fact that the iPad Pro does come with higher standard storage than this. It's unbelievable that the iPad Air still only starts at 64 gigs of storage. And the fact that you can't get a 256 gig option, a 128 gig option, you can only jump up to a 256 is crazy. And in fact, just because of that, the iPad mini gets pulled down a tier 2 because of that stupid decision, because the iPad mini does the same thing, 64 or 256, no in the middle, and that is not a good play. iPad Pro 11-inch, the 11-inch iPad Pro, S tier, amazing product. Price is pretty good in my opinion. It could be cheaper, but for the value you get, it's insane. I bought a 2018 iPad Pro that was amazing. I honestly would still be using it, but the only reason I'm not is because my brother asked for it, and he has it now, and he is still using it after I upgraded to the 2021 iPad Pro, which is still, after 2 years, perfectly great. So iPad Pro, we can just couple the 12.9 and the 11 in there. It is great that the 12.9 inch does come with a mini LED display. The 11 inch doesn't, but I think the price difference is there to justify that change in screen. Otherwise, both the iPad Pros, I think, S tier products from Apple. Let's move on to the Macs, and I'm going to do the iPhones last. So iMac, D tier, needs a big update. Not a fan of the way it looks, not a fan of the way they have implemented it, and most importantly, it feels like Apple is ignoring it. They haven't updated it to M2. They haven't had a second size option. There needs to be some attention. You know, Apple is not giving the iMac enough love. I love the iMac platform. I've had an iMac since 2012, and I still use it every day. I think that it's a big misstep there. The Apple should really be paying attention to the iMac, sorry. Then let's move on to the Mac Mini. This is S tier. For a entry-level performer, this performs unbelievably well. So good, in fact, it kept up with my $3,500 MacBook that I bought in 2018. So, and this was 2 years ago when the original M1 Mac Mini came out. So I'm sure the M2 is even better. So the Mac Mini at the price it's given, unbeatable deal. I think it's one of the best products that Apple does sell also. Then let's move on to the Mac Studio. This is a little bit more interesting. The price is weird on this, but I think that it does follow in the Mac Mini steps, so I'm going to give it a B tier and kind of leave it at that. Then let's move on to the M1 MacBook Air, the M1 MacBook Air. This is a great computer. I think this gets A tier. Surprised why Apple didn't update this one with the M2 and give it a brand new design language. I think the way it looked was great, but the new one looks great too. This at $1,000 is amazing, but just giving you guys a heads up, you can get this on sale for cheaper than that. Amazing product. I love the MacBook Air M1, and similarly M2 is great too. Great display, sleek design. I love the new color. That slate color looks amazing, and there's very less to complain about the MacBook Air. I think the only thing I would like is $100 cheaper price. $1,100 instead of the $1,200 would be really, really good. Then moving on, the MacBook Pro 13 inch. This is a D tier computer. I don't think many people should be buying it. It's lacking a lot now. It's a basically 7-year-old design at this point. The Apple should have killed this off. They really need to just embrace 14 inch and let go of this. So if you're in the market for a MacBook Pro, honestly, I'd probably say just get the MacBook Air M2. That's the better move there. If you really, really want the touch bar, this is the last MacBook that has the touch bar left. So let's move on to the MacBook Pro 14 inch. Again, I think that this is an A tier computer. It's fantastic, works amazing. I used one personally for a couple of weeks when I was testing the 2022 model, the 2021 or 2022 model. Great computer. Absolutely love it. I think that this is a fantastic option if you are looking to use a computer on the go, and this will most likely, the 14 or 16 inch will end up being the next option. So 16 inch also goes into the A tier. Both of them are fantastic computers, and I'm so impressed Apple has kept the pricing so similar, because I was doing a little bit of research and I can get a pretty good upgrade, kind of similar specs to what I have right now for the same price. But the performance is going to be way better. Like speccing out kind of similar to what I bought back then versus now. The price has not gone up, which is surprising given like I bought this MacBook Pro in 2018 and it is 2023. So after 5 years, they've still kept the price kind of in the same region. So that's very impressive to me and makes the upgrade decision a little bit easier for me as well. So MacBook Pros, great computers. Now let's move on to two of the displays. The Pro Display XDR is a weird niche product. I think that it's I don't know, I'm not the intended market for this. I think this is a weird product. It really doesn't make sense. It's a D tier for me. And then Studio Display, just because it's a little bit more reasonable. It's $1,500 for a 5K display. I think this makes a little bit more sense than the Pro Display XDR does. So that's about that for the displays. Let's move on to the iPhones. The iPhone 12. D tier. Don't buy the iPhone 12 now. I think that the 13 just had such a step up on the iPhone 13 that I really don't think that the iPhone 12 is a good option. Save that money, just pay a little bit more and get the iPhone 13. I promise you, you'll be happier with that. Then let's move on to the iPhone SE, which is a C tier. It's a C tier, but it's straddling the line between C and D because the price went up, there aren't much changes to it, and Apple is still refusing to give it MagSafe. I think that that's a stupid move. And honestly, I don't think that it needed the refresh it got last year. 20, it could have just been left. I think that there's no point. Apple really needs to do something about the SE. I think that it is now no longer even acceptable, given that the competition in this segment is really difficult. And honestly, I think that Apple's own lineup kind of competes with it, and I would much rather spend an extra $100 or go the used route and get something else instead of an SE at this point. So used SE I would probably avoid. Then let's do the 13 mini. A tier phone for me. Great phone, amazing design. I think that the camera's just out of this world as well. And the mini, this is the last mini. Honestly, S tier because mini. It's great. It's one-handed usable, friendly. The pink color on the 13 looked amazing to me too. So overall, 13 mini, S tier. 13, A tier. Great phone. Highly impressed by it. I think that Apple should really, this was a great phone. I really have not much to complain about it. They really did do a good job with the 13 lineup. 13, then comes the 14 lineup. The 14 Plus, this is I don't want to give it F tier because it's F tier. No, D tier. The phone is great. There's no issue with the phone, but Apple didn't think the strategy through on this. The pricing is insane. I'm not paying $900 for an iPhone that doesn't have a high refresh rate. That's ludicrous. I'm not going to be, I'm not impressed by this phone at all. The Plus, the iPhone 14 Plus, not the best phone. I'm going to leave it at that. iPhone 14. B tier, as long as the iPhone 13 exists, because they're so similar, and it's so unreasonable to ask me to pay an extra $100 for the 14 when the 13 exists, just because the 13 is 95% the same phone, and I can't justify that price difference there, especially if you're looking to buy one right now, brand new. I would still say the 13 is a great option, unless the 14 gets a good price cut. 13 is the way to go. Then let's look at the iPhone 14 Pro. A tier. Great phone. The battery is great. I think that they did a good job with it, but I do have to say they really didn't do the whole 14 lineup. It's an indication of not doing enough. They really did. They didn't do much from the 14. The performance-wise, it's fine. Battery-wise, I feel like it went a step back. The always on display is okay, but really that's not enough to justify this. The dynamic island is still a gimmick to me. I think it looks cool, but beyond that, there's no functionality I get out of it. So that's the iPhone 14 and 14 Pro, and I'm going to put the Max there as well. Both of these are good phones. I would not doubt you if you said you want to buy one. I myself own a 14 Pro Max and I do use it constantly. So this is an interesting kind of A tier, for me. I think I'm straddling the line here. It's between A and B for me, but it ekes out on A, just being the best phone they sell. This is the phone I would buy out of the lineup, so I don't want to put it into that B tier. So that is my lineup. My kind of tier list for the Apple lineup in 2023. If you guys notice, there's a lot of FD tier products and not a lot of S, A, and B tier products. It's kind of a bit on the equal side, I guess, but really, a lot of the S tier products are actually products that have been around for a long time. If you guys notice, the AirPod Pro, they were S tier for years for me. The iPad 9th generation, that came out way back in 2021. The iPad Pros have been around for years now. The Mac Mini has been around since 2020. And I mean, the 13 mini is there it's because it's sentimental. But more so, the only product that came out in the last year that is on this list is the Apple Watch Ultra. All of these other products are kind of much older. So that's alarming. Apple hasn't really been putting out a lot of stuff. And if you guys notice, the bottom tier includes a lot of the newer stuff too. The SE, the HomePod Mini, iPad Air, the new iPad. So that is something I would say is not the best. So that's it for this one, guys. Let me know what you think of this tier list. I know that I've done one of these before, but I just love doing it. So that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.